Hi, I'm Ollie and welcome back to the Prima webinars. Today I'll be covering the company and location defaults that you can set up in your administration area of Prima. In the latest version of the software, there are a host of new options which can ensure that specific information is populated by your Prima users based on your needs. To locate these system keys, you'll need to sign into your administration area. From here, and once you're in your admin, jump into system keys, and there's an option just here for company/location defaults. Within here, as you can see, there are plenty of options to pick from. This all links together with your company record pop-up box that you're faced with when entering a new company. If I just jump into the main Prima there, jump into new record at the very top, click into company, and this is then what I'm referring to just there. So having things such as company type defaulted, making sure that invoice profiles are assigned or customer offers, these are all things that you can do through that admin section. Now, the easiest way to see what you're updating is having both open and being able to compare. But the majority of these defaults and mandatory options are pretty self-explanatory. So as an example, if I just jump back into the admin screen, one of them, which is pretty obvious, is the default company type for company creation. So all this means is that by default, when I create a new company, it's going to assign it as a customer rather than something such as a prospect or a supplier or something else in this list of options just here. So by default, when I click into new record on my database, as you can see, the company type for me is customer. However, if I wanted to change that, because for my business, we're normally loading prospects or something of that nature, then of course, then you can say, well, there you go, mark it's prospects, save and close it, and then from there, then by default, that'll then pull through as the option. So it's just reducing clicks then, of course, as users of Prima are loading companies into the database. The difference between a default, so the default of course being what is preloaded for you when you're creating that account, and there's also an option further down for things such as mandatory options just here. So by default it's going to assign the customer just there, whereas for something else such as, let's say, account manager, mandatory and company creation, that's basic meaning that from that list of options that I have within here now for account managers, I need to make sure that's populated before I can actually proceed. So the mandatory ones, when they're set to yes, would prevent you from creating that company if they're not populated. So if I was to put into here, I don't know, test 456, I'm sure 123 probably exists, test, and if I was to take away the account manager, which I don't think that set as a default, but if something that is such as the customer offer just there, that is a mandatory field. If I was to then take away customer offer from this list and say no offer applied, try and create and open that, and then from there, as you can see, a customer offer is required for new companies. So the same principle can apply to the likes of account manager. So if that wasn't selected but customer offer was, then if that was set to yes before I started that action, then of course that would prevent me from going through and creating that account just there. Now, my top tips for which fields need to be set as default or mandatory across most of our dealer databases include the likes of company types, of course customer or prospect being the most popular ones, invoice profile, so are they merged, single invoice by order or dispatch, something of that nature, customer offers, so if you are using a bronze, silver and gold, or a general offer, just making sure that your customers are benefiting from some sort of special price promotions as such, and also delivery type. So if you are a standard dealer in terms of you do your own deliveries, of course by default all databases are set up in that way anyway. However, if you are a pit wrap or a direct, then you can switch those defaults around as well. So as I mentioned, most of those are typically defaulted for you anyway, but there are other options in there for delivery charges, account managers, etc. that can be set to mandatory or default options too. Now, one that I will explain, as it's not too obvious in its description, is the one, if I just scroll up to the top here, for default external orders on company creation. So this one's brand new into the latest version, and what it is external orders coming through from your Prima Go web store. So at the moment, and when it's set to do not auto authorize, that basically means that when the imported order comes through from your web store, it's going into the imported orders area. For you then to authorize, push it through, and then from there, then of course you can create it into an outstanding sales order or push it through for buying. So by default, that is the setting that's set. However, for all new accounts that you are setting up, you can set the option for auto authorize and create outstanding sales order. So rather than having to go into imported orders and manage that as an area, the web orders can actually drop into your sales order screen. Likewise, for this bottom option, is a case of actually when it drops into imported orders, it automatically authorizes, completes a sales order as well, and the first time you actually see the order is when you're doing your buying process. Of course, there are automation options for the purchasing, but from this point of view, this is assigning a default against new accounts that you are creating. And of course, there are grid manager functions that with this new feature that you can go back on previously created accounts and apply this to them as well. So just to recap that, the default external orders on company creation, which you can also mark as a mandatory field, is making sure that you decide per company how their web orders are being, I guess, dealt with in the system. So are they going to go into the imported orders? Are they going to go in as an outstanding sales order, or are they going to be processed through straight away? So some companies, you may like the idea of just pushing it straight through, whereas some of them, you might not want to authorise it, or you may want to put it into an outstanding sales order. So of course you can check it through and make sure there's anything that needs to be added on or anything of that nature as well. Okay, that's everything for today's session. If you do have any questions at all on this area, feel free to get in touch with training@primasoftware.co.uk. Thanks for your time today. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you all next week.